Hi everyone, it's Alex from the American Guitar Academy again, and today we're going to be talking about vibratos. Let me show you an example. So I'm going to play this line here. Now that's nice, it works. It just sounds a bit bland. We can make things sound a bit nicer if we add a bit of vibrato to it, and we could do that on any of those notes really, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to go. So you notice this bit that's the vibrato. It's the change of the pitch that you can hear. It just makes things sound a little more natural. I always compare it to my favourite singers. Really wide vibrato, for example, like this. That sounds a bit unnatural from a singing perspective. Just listen to a few singers next time you hear someone singing and hear how they use vibrato tastefully, usually at the end of a phrase. The way I see things, the vibrato technique has 3 different types. So the first one is the most obvious one, which is the one that I used a lot in the example, which is like this. So you'll notice the string is going up and down vertically like this. I call this the vertical vibrato. Another one, which is more of a classical guitar technique, is more of a horizontal type thing where you move the string this way. You kind of roll your finger backwards and forwards. It's very subtle. And another one is kind of circular vibrato. Now, I think this is just a bit showy. It's not really much different from the others. It kind of combines the two. Kind of looks a bit like this. But I prefer the vertical one, which is more common amongst guitar players. I developed, through listening to players like Albert King and B.B. King, etc., quite a specific vibrato technique, which if I do it here on this A note, my thumb comes away from the neck and I kind of wave my hand around like this, but it's like my arm is rotating like that. But obviously it's not going to be applicable to every single thing that you would want to do vibrato on. So I might use, similar to bending my third finger on my ring finger, with the other two supporting it. Like that. The idea is that you want to have very subtle movement. Okay, like we said before, we don't want too much, because that just sounds a bit odd. But also you want it to be controlled, a smooth, regular vibrato. Now, there's a few other things that we can look at to help improve our vibrato if you're familiar with the basic technique already. Rather than using your fingers to push the string or pull the string down and then pulling or pushing it back into place, because that can be a little bit ambiguous. You can kind of find yourself fishing for the note and it doesn't really work 100% of the time. What I prefer to do is pull the string down and let the natural elasticity of the string, I guess, push it back to where it should be. So I'm only pulling the string down here, but it's going back to where it would naturally sit. Now, one other thing as well is similar to bending. When you bend, you want to end at a specific point. That's your target note. For vibrato, less obvious because, as we discussed already, you're not going to a specific note. And as I said about singers, I spent long practice periods, especially when I was a teenager, thinking about my favourite singers and trying to copy their vibrato. Albert King does this a lot, so... it's something you have to experiment with. Make sure you spend a lot of time trying to be consistent with it as well. You need to be able to do it across all the strings. So you would do it here, for example. And maybe here. And over the rest of the strings as well. Now, vibrato on the higher string is a little trickier because I find I have to push the string up. If I pull it down too much, it's gonna fall off the fretboard, and we don't really want that because that sounds a bit odd. Something a lot of people struggle with as well is using vibrato but after a bend. So for example, if I did this as a bend, but you want to put your vibrato not straight away, get the note up, leave it for a second, and then apply the vibrato to it. And that's going to sound really, really natural. That's something that a lot of famous guitar players do, sometimes even without realizing it. So to recap, let's make sure your vibrato is not too wide, it's not too fast. Try it over all the strings, over different areas of the neck, experiment with all of them, make sure it's nice and consistent, and listen to some of your favourite singers or favourite guitar players as well to get a really good idea of how it should sound. Good luck.